Hi, this is Ben Baxter with Accent Software. Today I wanted to record a short little video on a fairly unused tool for the Dynamics NAV product. What I'm about to show relates to Dynamics NAV 2013, 2015, 2016, and later perpetual versions. So as new versions come out, I imagine this tool will still be in there. Unfortunately, it is not available for 2009 and previous, so you do want to be on one of the more current versions of the product. Now, what this tool does is it's a idle timeout. So when your users are in the system and they walk away from their computer or they start checking their email or doing something else, they will get timed out of the system. So it will track when they went idle and then after a certain amount of time, stop their session. So I'm going to go into the Dynamics NAV, in my case 2015 administration tool, and in here is where you see what service tiers you have set up. So on my local machine here I just have the one, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to expand this menu over here on the left and click on that service tier. This takes me to the back end side of it where it's connected, that sort of thing. So if I scroll down, there is a Client Services tab, and inside of this tab is a field called Idle Client Timeout. And right now it's set to max value, meaning it will never time out. If I go idle and I let it sit, it will just sit. It will do nothing to time me out of the system. Now if I set this is a global change. This is not a user by user. There are tools for that, but this is not this. This is the base NAV product, what it has for a idle timeout. So this would impact all users. So unfortunately, if you set this, even your president who's sitting there idle for 20, 50 minutes, whatever the case may be, they will get a disconnect. Be aware of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this edit button at the bottom, and again you have to have certain permissions to be able to do what I'm doing. So this is really for IT managers, CIOs, those level of security rights. So again, I'm going to scroll down to that idle timeout. How you enter the value is really important. If I just put in 15, it's not going to do anything, okay? It doesn't know what to do with that value. So what I have to do is do hours, minutes, so we're going to do 15 minutes, and seconds. And then if I leave that there, save it, restart my service tier, then it's going to take that, and after 15 minutes of being idle, it will time me out. I'm not going to let you just sit and watch me for 15 minutes, so I'm going to make this very short. So I'm going to say for 1 minute. So we'll say 1 minute of idle time, and I'll go ahead and save this. What this will do is it will clock me out or log me out of the system, disconnect my session from Dynamics NAV after 1 minute of being idle. So the new settings will take effect after you stop and restart. So this is not something that you can do usually during the day without interrupting users. Since I'm the only one that uses this service tier, it's okay for me to restart the service. So I'm going to go ahead and let that restart. And then when I get back in the system, after it runs through the restart process, it's now setting that idle time for any users that open the client after that has been started. So now I've got it running. When I log in, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click one thing and then I'm going to let it sit idle for 1 minute. So go ahead and get your stop clocks ready and I'll talk through what this does. Now this is an idle timer, so right now it's running. If I don't click anything, the timer's running. As soon as I click into something, the timer stops and restarts. So be aware of that. I have not tested this with running reports, so if you have a process in your system, let's say the planning worksheet that may take longer than 15 minutes, will it clock me out of the system? I have not tested that yet. I wanted to make you aware of this, but all of the information, all of the loopholes, I don't know. Now, if I let this sit for a minute, do I get an error message that pops up on screen? I will not. So it will look as if I had just walked away from the machine. So nothing's going to pop up on screen. I'm not going to see any difference. Remember, the person's not actually there, so there's no need to actually pop up an error message and warn them or anything like that. Again, there is no warning. It just happens. So if this has been sitting idle for 1 minute and then I walk back, so I come back to my machine, let's say I went out to lunch and I come back and I try to process information. So I decide, okay, now's the time. I'm going to go ahead and start doing something. I'm going to start clicking around. When I click somewhere else in the system, let's hope my rough timing is about right. If I click Roll Center, I get a message says the service is no longer available. Your connection has been lost. So what happened is in the background, that idle timer stopped my session. I'm no longer in. So now it says, do you want to attempt to reconnect? I can say yes. Could not retrieve from the server, so that may be something on my end. But as soon as I log back into the system, everything's fine. Now remember, this has a very sophisticated saving engine, so as soon as I'm off of a field, it saves the record. So if I, for example, am on a sales order and I've entered half of the information on that sales order, and then I walk away, so I didn't get to my lines or something like that, that idle timer is still going to leave whatever I was on. So as soon as I tab off of a field or hit enter, that information is saved in the database. That record exists. So I'm not losing information even if I get an idle timeout. It's just a matter of the system saying your session is over. It's as if I closed the Dynamics NAV application itself. So that's my little tip. Again, that's inside of the administration tool. It is called the idle client timeout. Hope that helps. Don't forget, like, subscribe to our channel. We really appreciate that. Thanks a lot. Have a good one.